I want to bring in Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. He is a member of Senate Democratic leadership. Thanks for being with us. I want to start by saying that one of the things we just heard from the vice president, and I'm going to quote him there, it's about your party. They are cracking on this. Are you seeing signs of cracks within your party? Is the nervousness getting higher?
Well, literally nothing he said is true. The fact of the matter is there were two bills to keep the government open on the floor 2 weeks ago and then this week. One bill jacks up premiums on American citizens by 75%. The other bill makes sure that we don't have these giant Republican-engineered increases in health care costs. And so neither one of them passed, but Republicans had a chance to vote to continue funding for the federal government and assure that we don't have these massive increases in premiums. Donald Trump is cheering this shutdown. The vice president got asked a question about how excited Donald Trump appeared yesterday. Donald Trump could decide to end the shutdown right now. The fact of the matter is he's been boycotting negotiations. Vice President Vance has been boycotting negotiations. The House Republicans aren't even in town. They're still back in their districts. And so there's just no seriousness about these negotiations on behalf of Republicans.
J.D. Vance just said, we're talking to a number of our colleagues, Republicans and Democrats. We talked to them last night. Have you heard from J.D. Vance? Have any of your colleagues heard from J.D. Vance?
I have not heard from J.D. Vance. I have not seen any negotiations between Senator Schumer and Senator Thune. As I said, the House Republicans aren't even here. And of course, in order to get an agreement, you'd need agreement with the House Republicans as well. And they are boycotting Washington entirely. So right now, there are no serious negotiations happening. Why? Because Donald Trump wants to act like a king, and he thinks he can act even more like a king, like an autocrat in the context of a shutdown.
Let me ask you about something else that was asked of him, specifically about Russ Vogt's decision to withhold funding on a major infrastructure project. I'm sure you know this, connecting New York and New Jersey. You know a little bit about the tri-state area. And so he was asked specifically, is the administration trying to essentially squeeze Chuck Schumer's home state? And his response was, you know, when you have a shutdown, we have to do a little triage. Is that what you see happening here?
I mean, listen, we're not dumb. The American people aren't dumb. They know exactly what happened here. Literally within hours of the government shutting down, the White House announced that they were suspending major projects for one city in America, the one city that happens to be represented by the Democratic leader in the House and the Democratic leader in the Senate. What they did is likely illegal. The White House doesn't have the ability to just decide to spend money in Republican states and not spend money in Democratic states. But it tells you what the problem is here. Our democracy is crumbling. We don't have a democracy when the president of the United States gets to decide and pick and choose where federal money is spent and where it isn't spent based upon whether the people that represent those states are nice to him or not. That's not a democracy. And so that's what we're fighting about. We're fighting about health care for American citizens, but we're also fighting about trying to preserve basic democratic norms that guarantee that all Americans are protected, not just Americans who live in states where the representatives are part of Donald Trump's cult.
So the question becomes what you do next. And when you talk about what you believe is the illegality of these moves, we've also been talking on this show today about whether or not the notices that are going out that normally would tell federal employees what to do in the case of a shutdown include things like harsh criticism of Democrats, whether those, for example, could be violations of the Hatch Act. Stuff gets thrown so fast and furious. What can you as a party do about it?
The more that Donald Trump acts illegally, the more that he shuts off money only for Democratic states, the more that he threatens to illegally fire federal workers, the stiffer our spine should become. Yes, he's trying to bully Democrats into signing off on a budget that's going to be terrible for the American people, that is going to bankrupt American families. We should not let his illegal firings, his illegal withholding of funds, bully us into submission. We should stand for something. We should stand stand for something on behalf of the American people. And what this fight is about, yes, trying to make sure that health care premiums don't go sky high for families. But it is also about protecting our democracy. And if we end up signing off and voting for a budget that literally funds the destruction of our democracy, that funds the censorship state that is growing in this country, we will live to regret it. So as Donald Trump acts more illegally and more outrageously, it's not a moment for us to get weaker. This is a moment for us to get stronger.
Senator Chris Murphy, thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.